Before this video starts, I need you to do one thing for me. Don't pause it, not even for a second. Because people who stopped watching this story halfway through say they saw something that wasn't part of the video. And the strange thing is, they all paused at the exact same time without meaning to.
I didn't notice the face the first time because I wasn't looking for it. I was just killing time the way I always do when I can't sleep, scrolling through videos with my lights off, phone glowing like a window into something warmer than the dark room around me. And at some point, I paused a random horror video to check the time, because insomnia teaches you to fear clocks. And that's when it happened. Just for a split second, so fast I wasn't even sure it was real, the paused screen glitched and a face appeared at the very center of the frame, stretched and pale, eyes too open, mouth relaxed in a way that wasn't quite a smile, and then it was gone, replaced by the frozen frame of the video like nothing had happened. And I would have brushed it off as sleep deprivation if my phone hadn't still read 3:17 a.m., a time that immediately felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain, like I'd interrupted something mid-breath. And the worst part wasn't the face itself. It was the certainty that it had been looking directly at me, not at the camera, not outward, but inward, focused, aware. And when I replayed the video, there was nothing there. No glitch, no distortion, just normal footage. So I laughed it off and went back to scrolling. But the next night, it happened again. Different video, different channel, same pause, same exact time, 3:17 a.m., same face, clearer this time, closer, as if it had leaned forward. And that's when I started testing it, pausing videos on purpose, counting down the minutes, feeling my chest tighten as the clock crept closer. And every single night, without fail, at 3:17, there it was, one frame, always one frame, always waiting. And I noticed patterns that made it worse. The face never blinked, the eyes didn't reflect the light of the screen, and no matter how the video was framed, vertical or horizontal, bright or dark, the face always appeared centered, perfectly aligned, as if the videos were irrelevant, as if they were just doors it could step through. And when I tried skipping past the time, dragging the progress bar forward so I wouldn't see it, the next night it appeared at 3:16, and then 3:14, and then 3:11. And I realized with a sinking clarity that avoiding it didn't stop it, it invited it sooner, like it was correcting my behavior, teaching me the rules. And I stopped sleeping entirely after that, terrified of pausing anything, terrified of letting my screen go still. Because once I paused a video at 2:48 by accident and saw a faint outline of the face already forming, like it was loading, unfinished, impatient. And I started searching for answers, digging through comment sections, forums, archived posts that looked half-deleted. Full of people asking the same question I was afraid to ask. Does anyone else see it? And most of the posts ended abruptly, accounts gone, threads locked, but a few replies remained, warnings written in shaky language, people claiming the face only appeared when they paused, people saying it was trapped between moments, that it hated stillness, that it needed to be acknowledged. And one post stuck with me because it was short and final and calm in a way that felt earned. Don't pause it, let it finish. And I didn't understand what that meant until the night I forced myself to stay awake, hands shaking, eyes burning, playing a video from start to end without stopping, no matter how badly I wanted to look away. And when the clock hit 3:17, the video didn't freeze, it stuttered, like it was buffering against something heavy. And then the face appeared fully for the first time, not for a frame, not flickering, but solid, occupying the entire screen, its features smooth and wrong, its eyes deep and familiar. Because I realized with a jolt of nausea that it wasn't just watching me anymore, it was copying me, my posture, my breathing, my expression. And when it opened its mouth, I knew exactly what it was going to say before subtitles appeared automatically at the bottom of the screen, white text against the dark, reading
thank you for not stopping. And the relief that washed over me was immediate and terrifying, because the face faded after that. The video continued, the night passed, and for the first time in weeks, 317 came and went without anything happening. And I thought it was over. I thought I'd solved it. Until the next evening when I paused a video early, just for a second, distracted, careless, and the screen glitched again. But this time, the face wasn't looking at me. It was looking past me, confused, disappointed, and then it shifted aside to reveal another face behind it, someone else's, wide-eyed, unaware, frozen in the exact expression I must have worn the first time I saw it. And that's when I understood the truth I wish I could unlearn, that the face doesn't belong to the video or the screen or the time. It belongs to the pause, to the moment you stop everything and stare. And if you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this late at night with your finger hovering over the screen, I need you to remember one thing, because it's already learned your habits. It already knows when you like to stop. And if you pause this video at 3:17 a.m. just for a moment, just to check the time, don't be surprised if something finally looks back at you, grateful that you gave it room to breathe.
I told myself I wouldn't make another video about it, because talking about it feels too close to pausing, like naming something that prefers to stay unfinished. But after the first story went up, the comments started filling with timestamps instead of words, dozens of them, all saying the same thing in different ways. 3:17, it happened, I saw it too. And at first I thought people were playing along, pretending, until I noticed something I hadn't expected. Some comments were posted before the video finished uploading, some before it even processed to HD, and a few were edited later to remove whatever they originally said, leaving only the timestamp behind like a scar. And that's when I started getting messages. Not threats, not panic, just confusion. People asking if the face was supposed to move, if it was supposed to look tired, if it was normal for it to start mimicking them back. And one message stuck with me because it was short and honest and scared in a quiet way. The sender said they paused the video at 3:17 to prove to themselves it wasn't real, and when the face appeared, it didn't look distorted or angry. It looked relieved, like it had finally been noticed by the right person. And after that, it started showing up earlier for them too, not just on videos, but on loading screens, reflections, black mirrors when their phone locked, always just for a fraction of a second, always closer. And I realized something then that made my hands shake as I read through more messages.
More timestamps, more people describing the same slow approach, that the face doesn't follow a person, it follows a habit. It learns when someone pauses, when they hesitate, when they stop things halfway, and it moves into those gaps like water, filling the stillness we leave behind. And the reason it stopped appearing for me wasn't because it was gone, it was because it had moved on, spreading itself thinner across hundreds of screens, teaching itself new faces, new breathing patterns, new ways to wait. And I know this because last night, while editing this very audio, I paused the waveform to adjust a breath, just a second, not even thinking about the time, and my monitor flickered, not enough to be obvious, but enough for me to notice that the reflection staring back at me didn't blink when I did. And when I checked the clock, it was 3:12 a.m., which means it's learning to arrive earlier now, which means it's getting better. And if you're still watching this, if you haven't clicked away, if you're listening late with the lights off and the screen close to your face, I need you to understand something important before you do what everyone eventually does, because curiosity always feels harmless right before it stops being optional. The face doesn't want to scare you. It doesn't want to hurt you. It wants you to finish what you start,
And every time you pause, every time you hesitate, every time you freeze a moment because you're afraid of what comes next, you leave a space open for it to step into. So if your screen stutters tonight, if your reflection feels delayed, if you suddenly feel the urge to check the time while this is still playing, don't stop it, don't pause, don't give it the quiet it's been waiting for. Because once it learns your face well enough, once it finishes copying you, you won't see it at all anymore. And that's when someone else will pause and see you instead.
After part 2 went live, I stopped reading comments altogether, not because they slowed down, but because they stopped sounding like reactions and started sounding like reports. People no longer asking if the face was real, but telling me what it was doing now, how it behaved differently depending on the screen, the room, the time, how some said it lingered longer if they were alone and disappeared faster if someone else was nearby, like it preferred witnesses who wouldn't be believed. And a pattern started to form that I couldn't ignore no matter how much I wanted to. People who watched my videos all the way through only saw it once, maybe twice. But people who rewound, who paused to re-listen, who scrubbed back to hear a sentence again, they were the ones who said it started showing up outside the videos, in reflections that lagged, in dark windows, in the black screen before a device powered on. And one message described something I haven't been able to forget since. Someone said they paused my video early in the night and saw nothing at all, felt relieved, went to sleep, and woke up to find their phone still on, still playing. The video finished hours ago, but the screen wasn't black. It was filled with a familiar face, sitting very still, waiting. And when they tried to close the app, their screen froze on that image for just long enough for the eyes to move. And I realized then that the face isn't limited to one moment anymore. It's learning duration, learning patience, stretching itself across longer pauses, longer silences. And what scares me most is that people have started describing differences, small ones but consistent. Some say the face looks tired now, others say it looks curious, a few say it looks scared. Like it doesn't fully understand what it's becoming either. And that idea keeps me awake. The possibility that this thing isn't finished yet, that it's still assembling itself from fragments of us, from habits and hesitations and unfinished moments. And I think that's why it hasn't settled on a single form, why it mirrors whoever finds it, because it's still deciding what it's supposed to be. And last night I noticed something new that I haven't told anyone else yet. While listening back to this recording without pausing, without stopping, letting it play all the way through like I've trained myself to do, I heard a sound beneath my voice, faint but rhythmic, not breathing, not static, something closer to movement, like footsteps recorded from another room, perfectly synced to the spaces between my sentences. And when I checked the waveform later, without freezing it, just watching it scroll, I saw shapes forming in the silence. Not words, not sounds, but gaps arranged too evenly to be random. Like something is learning not just when we stop, but how we speak, how we hesitate, how we leave room without realizing it. And if that's true, if it's no longer waiting for pauses, but for patterns, then this isn't about 317 anymore. It's about attention, about repetition, about the way you're listening right now. And I don't know what happens when it finally understands us well enough to keep going without needing us to stop first. But judging by how quiet everything has been lately, how few new reports I'm getting, how many people say it hasn't appeared for them at all, I'm starting to worry that silence doesn't mean it's gone. It just means it's learning to move without being seen yet. I didn't realize this would be the last time I recorded until I reached the end of the timeline and saw there was nothing left after it. No empty space, no silence waiting to be filled, just a clean cutoff, like the story itself had decided where it should stop. And maybe that's what the face was always moving toward. Not a moment, not a time, but completion.
because over the past few nights, I've noticed something change that no one else seems to be talking about anymore. The reports stopped, the timestamps disappeared, the messages dried up, and people stopped saying they saw it at all, which should have felt like relief, but instead felt like abandonment, like the quiet after something finishes feeding. And tonight, for the first time since this began, I paused the video on purpose. Not to test it, not to prove anything, just because I wanted to know if it still needed me. And the screen froze instantly, perfectly still, no glitch, no distortion, no delay, and the face appeared immediately, fully formed, calm, familiar, not copied anymore, but complete, looking back at me with my eyes, the way they used to look before I knew what it was watching for. And I understood then that it was never trapped between frames.
Never bound to 3:17, never waiting for pauses at all. It was waiting for someone to stop telling the story. Because as long as the videos played, as long as the narration continued, it had to stay where it was, unfinished, dependent. But the moment I hesitated, the moment I chose silence over continuation, it no longer needed the screen. And as it leaned closer, I felt something settle behind my own face. Not possession, not replacement, just alignment, like two images finally syncing. And when I pressed play again, the video didn't resume, the waveform didn't move, the time didn't advance, but I could still hear breathing, steady and patient. And if you're listening to this now, if the audio hasn't cut out yet, that means you haven't paused, which means it isn't here with you, not yet. But this is where I stop speaking, because stories only end when someone lets them. And when this goes quiet, when there's nothing left but stillness on your screen, it won't need to look for me anymore. It will already know exactly where to wait.